The first Joker movie blew away critics, scored big at the box office, and stunned DC fans everywhere. The sequel, didn't. So, what went wrong with Joker Folie? Joaquin Phoenix may be one of the most revered actors of his generation, or any generation for that matter. Phoenix has received 4 Academy Awards nominations and won 1, for Joker no less. As one critic noted for MovieWeb, Joaquin Phoenix isn't an actor defined by his films, but an actor who defines the films he is in. That was certainly the case for Joker, which was about one of the most famous villains in cinema history, but ultimately owes its reputation and its huge box office takings to Phoenix's tour de force performance.
Isn't it beautiful?
Unfortunately, Joker Folie earned just $40 million on opening weekend, less than half of what the first film made. It seems that, despite his accolades and accomplishments, Joaquin Phoenix just isn't much of a box office draw. Sure, he may be a household name, but those households aren't going to see Beau is Afraid or Inherent Vice. Phoenix's global total is $3.6 billion, which seems impressive, until you consider that nearly a third of that comes from the first Joker, a movie that made over $1 billion at the global box office. Before Joker, Phoenix's biggest blockbuster came decades ago with Gladiator and Signs, 2 movies in which he played supporting roles. Yet, even for Phoenix's biggest box office triumph, it wasn't his name that put butts in seats. It was the Joker, one of only a few characters to be an opening weekend box office record holder twice. Of course, Joker Folie didn't need a big star in the title role, because the Clown Prince of Crime is one of the most bankable box office characters in cinema history. Batman opened to a then-record $40 million in 1989, on its way to $411 million worldwide, with Jack Nicholson dancing around in a purple suit and white grease paint. Nearly 20 years later, The Dark Knight broke the opening weekend record with $158 million, ending its run with just over $1 billion worldwide, largely driven by Heath Ledger's Academy Award-winning turn as a character.
Let's put a smile on that face.
Even Jared Leto's much-maligned performance in Suicide Squad helped power that 2016 film to $745 million worldwide, despite a less-than-stellar response from fans. Sure, each of those Joker movies featured another key X-factor, namely this guy. But it's also a fact that the Caped Crusaders' biggest hits tend to feature the Joker. But that's part of the problem. The Joker is overexposed. In the 19 years between Batman and The Dark Knight, he was only in one movie, 1993's Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, a spin-off from Batman the Animated Series. Since The Dark Knight, however, the Joker has been in 5. That's a lot of Joker, and it seems that the failure of Joker Folie has suggested that people might finally be tired of this iconic villain. Madonna was one of the most popular pop stars of her generation, but that star power didn't translate to the silver screen, with a per-film average of just $59 million. Why is this relevant to Joker? Because it's starting to appear that the musician many consider to be Madonna's successor, Lady Gaga, is also destined to bomb at the box office.
Come on. Get happy. Better chase all your cares away.
Lady Gaga has sold more than 40 million albums worldwide and became the first female artist to score 3 singles, selling 10 million copies worldwide. She's even more impressive on streaming, with more than 31 million followers and over 100 million monthly listeners, making her one of Spotify's most streamed artists of all time. So do all of Lady Gaga's little monsters show up to see her movies? Not so much. Let's just say it's more of a bad romance. Lady Gaga's films have earned less than $870 million worldwide, with an average of just $110 million per film. Her only certifiable hit was A Star Is Born in 2018, with $431 million. Next is 2021's House of Gucci, with $147 million. But given that movie had a budget of $75 million, the biopic needed a lot more to make bank. Even if Joker Folie tops A Star Is Born, which it probably won't, the movie's reported $200 million budget will likely make this the biggest bomb of Gaga's career. Here's an unhappy truth for you. Nobody asked for Joker Folie. Sure, the first Joker no doubt made Warner Bros. XX very happy indeed, but it turns out the studio paying for the sequel wanted it more than the moviegoers themselves. Joker was a major risk at the time. It was an R-rated one-off Elseworlds tale that drastically reimagined the Joker and Batman mythos. Not only that, the subject matter was mostly a Trojan horse for what the movie really was, a character study of a lonely and isolated outcast on the fringe of an indifferent society who descends into madness and violence. More than a comic book movie, Joker was a tribute to Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, a fact it didn't even try to disguise with the casting of Robert De Niro in a supporting role. Joker could have failed miserably, and the studio knew it, based on that conservative $55 million budget. Instead, the gamble paid off in box office numbers and awards season gold. Joker worked so well because it was fierce, fresh, and original. It felt like a movie that shouldn't exist, one that somehow snuck past the suits. Joker Folie, however, feels like a cynical and greedy cash grab. Sure, fans often show up to franchise films that make no effort to disguise the fact that their main objective is to make money, but a wholly unnecessary sequel to Joker feels disingenuous and manipulative in a way moviegoers could sense, which is one of the reasons why they chose to stay at home. Before Joker Folie, 2024 featured the return of a few other fan-favorite comic book characters making comebacks after a 5+ year hiatus. That film was, of course, Deadpool and Wolverine, which opened to $211 million, more than Joker Folie will likely earn in its entire domestic run.
Let's give the people what they came for!
Why did Deadpool and Wolverine dominate while Joker Folie played like a bad joke? Well, don't let Wade Wilson's big comeback fool you. Comic book media fatigue is still very much a thing. In fact, it's likely that the success of Deadpool and Wolverine sucked up a lot of the audience's appetite for comic book movies this year, especially ones you can't take your kids to. Additionally, Deadpool and Wolverine brought back two beloved characters in their MCU debut in a way that didn't feel like a cash grab, even if, it kinda was. If anything, the movie felt like an apology to the MCU fanbase for 5 years of underwhelming films. Meanwhile, Joker Folie felt like more of the same from Warner Brothers, a contrived and confused continuation of a disconnected franchise that has now suffered 5 financial failures in a row. If you've turned on the news lately, you might have noticed that there's not a lot of sunshine and rainbows in the world right now. Sure, Joker and Folie feature a clown dancing to songs like Smile and What the World Needs Now, but that clown also happens to be a homicidal psychopath. These are not happy movies, and they aren't meant to be. But we are in a very different world in 2024 than we were in 2019, when Joker broke records. One look at the top 10 box office charts from the past few years shows the kinds of films that moviegoers want to see. Spider-Man No Way Home topped the 2021 box office with nearly $2 billion by bringing back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
Hello, Peter.
Avatar: The Way of Water topped the worldwide charts, while Top Gun: Maverick won the day domestically in 2022 by telling stories of teamwork and heroism. Meanwhile, Barbie and the Super Mario Bros. Movie were the big winners in 2023, offering cheerful, colorful comedies featuring world-famous IP. Sure, Oppenheimer was an outlier, but 2024 will likely conclude with fan-friendly flicks Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine on top. You know what won't be on top? The dark, dour, and dreadful Joker Folie. Joker became a billion-dollar smash because it crossed the Venn diagram between two very different movie-going audiences, comic book movie fans and prestige picture film buffs. In other words, it was a movie that was just as likely to attract your pretentious film professor as your buddies who show up opening night for every new Marvel movie. Joker Folie tried to replicate this recipe for success and failed with both audiences. Sure, comic book movies tend to be critic-proof, as demonstrated by the so-so critical reviews for Joker, but the movie was bolstered by strong marks from fans, who loved it even if the critical establishment did not. Joker Folie is one of the rare occasions in modern movies where both the critics and fans absolutely loathe the movie. In fact, the fans may hate it even more. No doubt it's because Joker Folie is a confusing, ridiculous mess that moviegoers gave a rare cinema score of D, the lowest ever for a comic book movie. A film can do fine in theaters if critics like it and fans don't. A movie can make millions at the box office if fans like it but critics don't. But if critics and fans hate it, then you're in trouble. Whose idea was it to follow up an Academy Award-winning character study of a psychopathic serial murderer with a musical? Maybe they figured they wanted to make full use of Lady Gaga, but turning Joker Folie into a musical has to rank as one of the most misguided decisions in modern film history. When the rumors of Joker Folie being a musical first trickled in, we thought maybe it just featured a few musical numbers, which kind of made sense given it was a journey into the mind of two certifiable lunatics. Now we know for sure that, yes, in fact, Joker Folie is a full-blown musical. The choice is even more bizarre considering that movie musicals have been out of fashion for film since before most Joker fans were even born. You can spend however long you like debating the reason why many musicals flop, but the simple truth is that moviegoers aren't into them. Sure, there are outliers, but movies like Wonka and Mean Girls hid the fact they were musicals, while other rare hits tend to come from musicals with a built-in audience from Broadway, and even that is no guarantee.
That's what I say to you.
Making Joker Folie wasn't a creative swing and a miss, but a critical, unforced error that inflicted tremendous damage on its financial prospects. Raise your hand if you had to look up the term folie deux. For reference, a definition according to Merriam-Webster is the presence of the same or similar delusional ideas in two persons closely associated with one another. In other words, the Joker and Harley Quinn. Sure, you can admire the creativity here, as this title is more engaging than, say, Joker 2, but let's be honest, there's a reason movie studios usually just place numbers at the end of sequels. It works. Most moviegoers are busy, so if you're trying to break out from beyond the perpetually online, it helps to have a title that doesn't confuse people. A studio can take a risk by calling the sequel to Batman Begins The Dark Knight because 99% of moviegoers know that's Batman, but asking moviegoers to know French and psychological terminology to understand the title for Joker Folie Deux, that's a stretch. The title was just one piece of a larger puzzle too. From the movie's name to its underwhelming reiterative marketing to that absolutely outrageous $200 million budget, everything about Joker Folie Deux reeked of hubris. In the end, this is a movie that truly took its audience for granted. Alas, said audience just didn't show up as a result, which is why Joker Folie Deux bombed at the box office.